Welcome back to Klepper's Corner. Today in history. A day where we take a calendar, shake it like a magic 8-ball, and hope the answer isn't "you're doomed." February 18th is one of those dates that whispers, "Oh, you wanted a quiet day?" Adorable. It's a historical sampler platter. Religion, empire, revolution, science, war, literature, and yes, even a cow on an airplane. If February 18th were a person, it would be the overachiever who color codes their planner but still forgets their own birthday. So let's break it down one thematic slice at a time before something else unexpectedly explodes. Because on February 18th, it usually does. Segment 1. Ancient and medieval world. Ages ending, cities bargained, kingdoms colliding. If you ever feel like your life has entered a period of chaos, decline, and questionable decision-making, congratulations. You might be living your personal Kali Yuga. Because according to Hindu tradition, February 18th, 3102 BC is when Krishna dies, and humanity officially enters a cosmic era defined by disorder, moral decay, and a general vibe of "this is why we can't have nice things." A bold move for a universe that hadn't yet invented Twitter. Fast forward 3,000 years, and suddenly the Crusades discovered diplomacy. On February 18th, 1229, Frederick II, a man excommunicated by the Pope, basically medieval unfriending, walks into the Holy Land and negotiates Jerusalem back without swinging a single sword. No war, no siege, just a treaty. Imagine showing up to the Crusades with a PowerPoint titled, "Have we considered talking?" Frederick II does it, and somehow it works. The Pope stays mad, but honestly, the Pope stayed mad at a lot of things back then. Then in 1268, the Battle of Weissenberg breaks out. Livonian Knights versus Dovemont of Pskov, a reminder that medieval Europe never passed up a chance to fight over land, religion, or whether chainmail should be accessorized. In Ethiopia, Amda Seyon I begins expanding his empire in 1332, taking on southern Muslim provinces and solidifying the Solomonic dynasty. Because even in the 14th century, February 18th is when leaders wake up and go, "You know what? I'm in a conquering mood." And then in 1478, England gives us the tragic, bizarre saga of George, Duke of Clarence, executed in the Tower of London. Legend says he was drowned in a barrel of wine, which is either a terrible death or a great punchline, depending on how your day is going. But February 18th also marks the end of brilliance. Martin Luther dies in 1546. Michelangelo follows in 1564. One man launches the Reformation, the other paints ceilings so impressive people still crane their necks in admiration and/or chiropractor bills. February 18th, where spiritual eras end, artistic eras end, and the rest of us just try to keep our emails answered. Segment 2, Mongol Empire and global power shifts. A Khan falls, empires fracture. Let's talk about the day the Mongol Empire officially said, "All right, I think that's enough world domination for now." February 18th, 1294, Kublai Khan dies. The man who conquered all of China, ate like every meal was a competitive event, and tried, twice, to invade Japan only to be told no by typhoons, steps off the stage. His final years read like the medieval version of a burnout billionaire. Too much grief, too much alcohol, too much meat, too many questionable military decisions. He loses his wife, loses his heir, loses 2 fleets to storms, and gains gout, diabetes, and the ability to start sweating just by thinking about stairs. Every doctor from Mongolia to Vietnam tries to help. None succeed. February 18th arrives. The empire exhales. And just like that, the whole Mongol structure shatters. The Golden Horde goes one way, the Chagatai another. The Ilkhanate shrugs and wanders off. And the Yuan dynasty hangs on just long enough to get kicked out by the Ming. It's the geopolitical equivalent of a band breaking up after the lead singer announces they're going solo, only to release an album that flops. February 18th isn't just the end of a man. It's the end of unified Mongol supremacy. History often changes because of wars. This time, it changed because the guy in charge died exhausted, heartbroken, and overworked. Frankly, relatable. Segment 3, 19th century state building and state fracturing. Italy unifies, America explodes. February 18th, 1861 is the day history says, let's run two opposite experiments at the same time and see what happens. In Turin, Italy launches its first unified parliament. Victor Emmanuel II shows up, makes it official, and the peninsula finally declares, we are one country now. After centuries of city-states, duchies, kingdoms, papal politics, and the ongoing Italian hobby of arguing loudly in public, they managed to unify. Not bad. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, the United States says, hold my cannoli, because the same day, Jefferson Davis is inaugurated as President of the Confederate States of America. So while Italy is stitching itself together, America is ripping itself apart like a teenager tearing holes in jeans because this is my aesthetic now. Italy forms a nation. America fractures one. Same date, same hour, two opposite historical vibes. In Italy, nationalism becomes a tool of unity. In the Confederacy, nationalism becomes a tool to defend the institution of slavery. Italy builds a state that lasts. The Confederacy builds a state that lasts 4 years and a whole lot of misery. Segment 4, modern warfare and technological transitions, from Boer trenches to Pacific bombers. By 1900, February 18th decides it wants to try something new, weaponized modernity. Enter the Battle of Parody, where the British Army demonstrates the tactical brilliance of charging directly into rifles that shoot farther and faster than theirs. General Kitchener insists on frontal assaults, so ill-advised that even the horses probably filed complaints. No one gets closer than 200 yards. The Boers dig trenches and watch the British walk right into a hail of bullets like they're testing a new theory. What if bravery, but also very bad decisions? Then in 1945, February 18th places us off the shores of Iwo Jima, where the USS Blessman is supporting Underwater Demolition Team 15, the frogmen who do the pre-invasion equivalent of checking the pool before you jump in. Only the pool shoots back. A Japanese bomber nails the ship. Fires erupt, ammunition cooks off, radios die, and the crew ends up fighting flames with helmets because the pumps are down. Meanwhile, nearby ships hesitate to approach because the Blessman is full of explosives. February 18th, the day when even your rescue attempt gets nervous. 40 men die. 15 of them are UDT specialists whose mission cleared the way for Marines landing hours later. The Blessman becomes a reminder that modern warfare doesn't wait for the main event to unleash its tragedy. Sometimes the reconnaissance takes the hardest hits so the invasion can begin. Segment 5, literature, culture, civil rights, and the digital age, from Huck Finn to Dr. Dre. Now, let's get cultural, because February 18th isn't just about dying kings and exploding ships. It's also about art, ideas, and cows on airplanes. In 1885, Adventures of Huckleberry Finn is published in the United States, immediately banned by everyone clutching pearls at the idea of American literature sounding American. Twain throws romanticism off the steamboat and invents a new national voice in the process. Schools still panic about it today, proving that nothing ages slower than a literary controversy. Then, on February 18th, 1931, Toni Morrison is born. If Twain cracked open the American canon, Morrison rebuilt it with the authority of someone who knew exactly whose stories had been erased. Nobel Prize, Pulitzer Prize, the first black woman senior editor at Random House. February 18th really said, let's produce someone who redefines the entire playing field. Twain questioned America. Morrison confronted it. And in 1950, John Hughes, the man who gave teenagers voice angst, detention, and very unrealistic expectations about how quickly one can fix their life in a montage. His films shaped the emotional vocabulary of an entire generation, and also taught them that skipping school could involve a parade float. Then 1965 brings us Dr. Dre, who doesn't just influence music, he reshapes the global soundscape. From NWA to G-Funk to producing Eminem to selling headphones for more money than some countries' GDPs, Dre proves that February 18th births people who alter culture so thoroughly you don't even remember what it sounded like before them. Meanwhile, February 18th continues its tradition of causing technological whiplash. The first official airmail flight happens in 1911. A cow flies in 1930. Yes, a bovine, on a plane, milked mid-flight. Because apparently aviation history needed a weird side quest. In 1977, the Space Shuttle Enterprise takes its first captive flight, showing that Americans can build a gliding space plane as long as a much bigger airplane carries it. And in 2004, the NetSky worm appears, reminding the world that while humans build great things, teenagers with laptops can break them faster. In conclusion, February 18th is the historical equivalent of an overstuffed suitcase, bursting at the seams, unpredictable, and containing at least 3 things you absolutely did not expect. Empires fall, nations rise, battles misfire, ships burn, planets are discovered, shuttles test glide, Huck and Jim drift downriver, Morrison rewrites the world, and Dr. Dre drops a beat strong enough to make history nod along.